because it is phenomenal. The tanks coming out today, to begin with, we have 3 American Cold War tanks, 2 US tanks. We have the M47, and then the tank with the tricolour camouflage, that is the M60, and behind that a real monster, the M103. Circle to the far end of the arena, I'll just grab a circle word and sideways. Behind the M113 is
the entry steward, and it's loaded originally in M5, also similar with an upgraded version. So one of these, for instance, which came as a bit of a shock to the Africa Corps, where they suddenly realised that their anti-tank screens of 88mm were actually coming under fire from advancing British flag tanks. Now, you may have noticed where all you lied, and you may have noticed that
just that, under a chap called William Dunstan, who was the head of Chrysler. He gets head of the tank mission, and they build factories. In fact, Britain pays for the very first American tank factory.
Unit design, it is a late war tank, so this was built and designed in the mid-war period. It's on the battlefield by the end of 1944, just in time that nasty the Battle of the Bulge. It's got a good piece of armor to this tank. It's got a 75 weight. That means that it does get shot at. But the really important thing about the T-34-85 is how many were produced.
In the background, we're also worried. We found the wreck of a JS3 Russian tank. Now, we were hoping to have one here. Sadly, the one from the Belgium Tank Museum that was going to come here, it broke its clutch about a month or so back, couldn't make it here. But it's a tank we were frightened of. Would the tank to take on the next generation heavy Russian tanks? And that's the reason this project started, FE 4005. If we're going to need a bigger gun, we need to start testing that gun. And it goes through 2 iterations. The first one 183mm gun. They tested an assisted loading system. This is the second iteration that they actually do most of the test firing from. This project was started in 1950, and what they're really looking at, first of all, is can we get the right type of ammunition? And they start, you may have heard earlier, we talked about Hesh rounds, high explosive squash head, 183mm, just measure that out. If you've got a ruler with you or something or other, you start realising that's a big lump that's going to come out the end of the barrel there in terms of its width. Hesh is to fly through the air. It's not the force behind the round, but it's as long as you get it on the target, it will impact on the target. The plastic explosive inside will pancake out and detonate and send a shockwave through the vehicle. We also liked Hesh in Britain because it was great for demolishing pillboxes, buildings, etc. So they test this on FV4005. They get a couple of Centurion hulls, early model Mark III and Mark V hulls. They drop the gun on, as I said, it had a testing with a assisted loader system first of all, without the turret structure around it. Second iteration, they go back to 2 loaders. One is going to put in that massive Hesh round. The second loader will put in the brass case full of propellant. And you can only, this is such a big gun, you can only fire 2 rounds a minute. Now, they fired about 550 rounds as part of that test process, but the project was ended in 1955. One of the reasons there was because we're now starting to move into the era of anti-tank missiles, so we can put a bigger warhead that will travel quicker across the battlefield on a missile than we can by firing these Hesh rounds. So that's one of the reasons that it's dropped to the side. The other reason, of course, in the background, we learned the lesson that the Russians, actually, they're not building any more heavy tanks. Vishaw does not like heavy tanks. He's the guy who takes over after Stalin. Stalin, his name is dropped, hence the JS3 becomes the T10 in later configuration. They take that name away from things. So this project comes to an end, but it's still the biggest direct fire weapon ever fitted on a tank. And as you'll be aware, we did the project with support from people who are here today, World of Tanks, other people have put money into this so that we've been able to restore it. The driver's one of the guys that's put the effort in there, and it's fantastic that they've been able to bring it here as a running vehicle today, and give them a round of applause because they have actually done a lot of work on that, this particular team. Some of the people here, you may remember that turret used to be in our play area for kids to play on. I remember when I first came along here, you used to be able to slide down the barrel. Added to it, you can see now it's back on a contemporary Centurion, the right type of hull. They've added the gun crutch on the front. This is such a big heavy gun, you don't want it flexing, breaking the mountains. And on the back there's an anchor that can be lowered down to dig in the ground. This gun will only fire forward or on a 45-degree arc forward. You don't turn sideways. If you fire that way, you probably knock the tank over. So, not a bad lineup of Centurion tanks. So I said earlier, why is it a great tank? We can improve the gun. So you'll be seeing here a 105 gun. Similar with our M47 tank. Bit of crowdfunding, let's see if we can get this thing restored. We can only do a certain amount of restoration on this site. Let's go to the people that got experience or have got the capacity to do that. It may take a bit more money, but it's a way ahead of doing it. If you want to see that M47, take your before and after photos. It's right over in the far corner near our stage where we're doing lectures, etc. But that will be the next project. Fingers crossed, whether it's next year or the year after, you'll be able to come back and see another project such as FE4005 going through that restoration process. Now, one of the things when you watch these tanks driving around, you notice some this morning, that Matilda 2, for example, that phrase skid steering. Yes, we've watered the track. You can see sometimes they slide. How a tank is driving, what's basically going on, that engine in the back there, that meter engine, is putting the power through a gearbox to only two of the wheels there, the spoked wheels. They're the ones that are powered by the engine that bite into the track and pull the tank along. And if he wants to turn left or right, you'll notice what he's doing. He's actually yanking on a lever. If you yank on the right lever, it pulls the brake on the right side. You will slow that track and turn right. Pull the left, you go left. Pull both back together, you should stop. Smoothly, you turn that corner like going around the edge of a 50p piece. Straight line, pull on the lever, change the angle. Straight line, pull on the lever, change the angle.
I saw them when we walked out.
If you keep pulling on one lever, you will burn out your brakes in no time. So that's why you do these little short